Hello everyone. So we'll be discussing about epigenetic modifications. In this we'll discuss about X inactivation. So X chromosome is a medium size making up 5.3% of haploid karyotype. It is submetacentric. In females, one X chromosome is condensed throughout the interface and is frequently visible in epithelial cells as bar body. So female has two X chromosome. So one chromosome is visible as bar body or X heterochromatin. The bar body consists of loop-shaped X chromosome in which the two telomeres lie close together at the nuclear membrane. So all the descendants of the cell after mitosis, they will have the same X chromosome, which is bar body. So we can see this is the red and purple. So red chromosome remains condensed throughout the cell cycle. So that is called X inactivation. So X inactivation is an epigenetic change that is heritable from mitotic cell division. Genomic imprinting is heritable from parents to offspring, but this X inactivation is heritable from mitotic cell division. So as we see that here we have sperm from father and ovum from the mother, female parent. So 22 plus X, then we have 22 plus X or 22 plus Y. So this becomes zygote and this is developing embryo. So in the females we will have 22 plus 22 autosomes from both the parents, and in the case of X chromosome we have X from mother and X from father. So there are two X chromosome, while in males there is 22 plus X from mother and 22 plus Y from father. So there is only single X chromosome. So humans and other animals do not tolerate wrong numbers of chromosomes. Therefore, aneuploids have potentially lethal consequences. Human Y chromosomes have few genes related to male sexual functions, while X chromosome has many essential genes. So we can refer to X-linked diseases. In humans, X inactivation occurs. Lyonization after Dr. Mary Lyon, its discoverer. This is the epigenetic modification responsible for X inactivation, and its imprinting are heritable from cell to daughter cell but not from parent to child. So early in embryogenesis, each cell counts its X chromosome number. How the counting is done, we'll briefly discuss, and then permanently inactivates all chromosomes except one in each somatic cell. So inactivated X chromosome remains condensed and permanently silenced in somatic cell. And this at interface inactive X chromosome is observed as bar body or sex chromatin. So in XY male, single X chromosome, no bar body. XX female, single X active, one bar body. Turner syndrome, it has 45X, single X chromosome, no bar body. Klinefelter syndrome, it's 47XXY, single chromosome X chromosome is active, inactivates two X chromosomes. 47XXX females inactivates two X chromosome, two bar bodies. So this is maternal, this is paternal. So here we have paternal X inactivated. Here we have paternal X inactivated. Here we have maternal X inactivated. Here we have maternal X inactivated. So either of the X chromosome can be inactivated in a female or a male who are having more number of X chromosomes. So early in embryogenesis, human cell counts the number of X chromosome and then permanently inactivates all except one. At early stage, both X chromosomes are active, but inactivation is initiated at differentiation of totipotent or pluripotent cells begin. This is very important because pluripotent, the cells which arise from a particular pluripotent cell, they will maintain the same imprinting of X chromosome as in its parent copy. So we can have a different X chromosome silenced in different cells derived from a different pluripotent cell. So the one which is chosen for inactivation, that same is inactivated in all daughter cells. Within the clonal descendants of one embryonic cell, each cell expresses the same X chromosome. So this is very important as we discuss that whatever pluripotent cell descendants are there, they will have the same X chromosome inactivation and same X chromosome functional. Thus a heterozygous female is a mosaic of clones in which alternative alleles are expressed. Each cell expresses either the normal or the abnormal allele but not both. So there are some examples. So hemophilia we all know is X-linked disorder. So phenotype depends on a circulating product. So female has two copies of X chromosome. So female carriers are biochemically abnormal, but clinically they are unaffected because their functional copy of the X is active. Now this hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia, in this also this X resides on X chromosome. So here what happens, males, they will have pathogenic consequence if they inherit a defective copy of X chromosome. But female carriers, they show patches of abnormal and normal tissue, showing that in different regions of the body there is skewing in X inactivation. So in some parts the defective X is inactivated, leading to the normal phenotype. In some regions the normal X is inactivated, leading to defective or the patchy appearance of normal and abnormal tissue. Now this Bruton agammaglobulinemia is also a very good example. This gene is also X-linked, and because of defects in this gene, there is no mature B lymphocytes. So female carriers, they have B lymphocytes. So each cell will have inactivation of mutation carrying X chromosome. So that is very important, because initially during development, it is able to sense that which chromosome is active and which chromosome is not active. So when it is going to inactivate a particular X chromosome, so if let's say this is carrying a mutation and it becomes functional, so and it becomes inactivated, it becomes imprinted, so this becomes functional, this will lead to the disease. So the cell is negatively selected, so the cell only is not allowed to mature. So therefore during embryogenesis some cells may inactivate the normal X chromosome. That is, so defective function will come because normal X chromosome is inactivated, but descendants of those cells are negatively selected and do not mature to B lymphocyte. Therefore skewed X inactivation is clinically important because it can lead to the expression of X-linked recessive disorder in females who are heterozygous for the mutant allele. Skewed X inactivation is common in female fetus or newborns who have uniparental disomy. So that is also common when we have uniparental disomy. So usually women with heterozygous for dominant X-linked condition are mildly and variably affected than men, as many of their cells express only the normal. We saw it in the example. A few of the genes present on X chromosome escape X inactivation. So a few telomeric genes also escape X inactivation. So this is not a blanket inactivation, but it is patchy kind of mosaic kind of inactivation which doesn't occur on the complete chromosome. Now inactivation is initiated at the X inactivation center, that is XIC. This is located at XQ13 and it propagates along the whole length of the chromosome. So in XX cells there is tendency transient pairing of two XIC sequence. So pairing of two XIC sequences occur. And this is maybe the mechanism by which X chromosomes are counted. So when XIC is deleted, it results in disrupted counting. So XIC after the counting occurs, so on the copy which is to be inactive. So we have two X chromosomes. So after this XIC pairing will occur. So after XIC pairing, so the one which is to be silent, so it encodes RNA which is XIST. So XIST is X inactivation specific transcript which is expressed only from the inactive X chromosome. So we discussed this this gene is only expressed in the inactive X chromosome. So now this RNA is thought to recruit some protein factors that organize the chromatin into a closed transcriptionally inactive conformation. So this XIST codes all over the chromosome and then it leads to transcriptionally inactive conformation. But in the copy which is not to be inactivated, this XIC will not transcribe. It will remain silent. So this is mechanism of X inactivation. X inactivation starts as XIC which contains the gene XIST. XIST escapes inactivation. So even if the complete chromosome is going to be inactivated, with XIST it escapes inactivation and it is only expressed from inactive X chromosome as we discussed previously. It can only be detected in normal female. XIST RNA codes the inactive X chromosome. High methylation of DNA and histone hypoacetylation helps to ensure the long-term stability of the inactivation. So this is active X, so XIST is not active, this no RNA. this is to be inactive, so XIST RNA is there, it will coat it, and then the chromosome will be silent. So in the cells that have undergone X inactivation, loss of XIST does not cause reactivation, suggesting that XIST is important for establishment of X inactivation but not to maintain it. So XIST RNA codes the whole inactive X. The chromatin of inactive X carries modification typical of heterochromatin. So we have already discussed about chromatin modifications. So H3K9 is di or trimethylated. H3K4 is unmethylated. So we discussed that when H3K4 is unmethylated, it helps in the recruitment of DNMTs to the CPGs of promoters, so rendering them silent. So H3K4 is unmethylated, H4 is deacetylated, and H3K27 is trimethylated. So CPG islands as promoter of inactive genes are methylated, rendering them silent. So these are escaping X inactivation. So though the X inactivation occurs throughout the chromosome, but some part of X chromosome, they escape inactivation. So majority escaping and X inactivation are concentrated near the pseudo-autosomal region in the short arm of X chromosome. A few genes show variable pattern of inactivation. So two pseudo-autosomal region, they escape X inactivation. X inactivation is also patchy. Out of 612 X-linked genes, 458 were inactivated in all or most cells, but a few were expressed and few others showed variable expression. However, monoallelic expression is also observed during BCR and TCR receptor formation. X inactivation is, as we discussed, some part of the genes may be expressed and the expression may be variable. So mostly at pseudo-autosomal region where X and Y pairing occurs during meiosis, some of the genes are active. So this is selected reading for X inactivation.